Hey everyone, Katie here. I am the co-founder of Ohio Women on the Fly. We were supposed to host a fly tying event in April, and with everything going on, we had to cancel it. And so I thought it'd be fun to just put a video together. So if you have the materials, you can give this a shot at home. Today we'll be tying the bully bluegill spider. It's a pretty simple fly. Honestly, and if you're new to fly tying, this is a good one because it doesn't have to be perfect. The fish are going to eat it no matter what. And so before we get into it, I'm just going to go over the materials you need. I already have my hook in the vise, but you'll just want a standard wet fly hook. 10 to 12 is usually the best for this type of fly. And then I'm doing mine in a yellow color, but you can tie it in whatever you want. So thread, chartreuse, and then you're gonna want some lead. Mine is 0.020. They say most fly recipes, if you look this up online, is gonna say 0.015. I've never had an issue with it, so I'm just kind of using what I have around. And then for the body, we're gonna use chenille. I am using a fluorescent yellow small. You can use, any color really, all kinds of colors. Caddis green is popular, red, white. I've also tied it in medium, and I don't have any issues with that. I've done coffee and white or pearl white. I actually fished with this color yesterday and caught a few bluegill, just little guys. But all our rivers are here blown out, so it gives you something to do. And then for the legs, this is the color I'll be using. Most recipes say the round rubber medium black. I've used these as well, but lately I've kind of been digging the color combo. Alrighty, I think we are ready to get started. So first thing first is you'll want to put your hook in the vise. Make sure it is nice and secure. And then you're going to take your thread, and we're going to start in the middle. Take a few wraps, trim the excess, and then we're going to wrap backwards, just a little past where the hook point is. I usually go towards the barb. And then you're going to take your lead. And so with this, I'm just going to start in the back, a little before where I started the thread. And I'm going to wrap 10 to 15 times side by side. Once you've got your 10 to 15 wraps, you'll take the excess and wrap it around the layer that you just created. So you're sort of building up the back of the body. A lot of recipes and articles will tell you that this fly is taken right when you drop it, which yes is definitely true, but I've also will kind of let it sink, and then if I'm fishing where there's a lot of weeds, I'm usually fishing this when I'm in a quarry, I will kind of do a couple strips, and that tends to get the fish going as well. And so once you have your lead on, going to take a couple wraps behind it, and then you want to wrap over the lead. And by doing so, we're just securing it into place. And then you'll want to build just like a little thread dam above it so that it's not going to move. And then wrap back over it and to the back. From there, you're going to take your piece of chenille. I like to kind of pull off a little bit at the tip so it makes it easier to tie in. We're going to tie this in the back. I find it helpful to take a couple loose wraps and then really tighten it down. So once that is done, we're going to take our thread and we're going to move forward just behind the hook of the eye. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is I am using Ultra Thread 140. I've used 70 for this fly, but I think 140 is a little better. Kind of helps when you're building the head of the fly. Okay, so now that our thread is up front, we're going to take our chenille. And I'm actually going to put this out of the way. And we're just going to wrap our chenille forward. And you'll want to, sometimes you can wrap like once and then over it again, but make sure you're going side by side. You kind of want it to form a little body. I like mine to be a little bit thicker in the back and then get smaller as you taper forward with it. And like I mentioned earlier, this fly does not have to be perfect. These fish they're gonna eat it. With this. Okay. So once you're to the front with your chenille, tie it off. Make sure you're making tight wraps so your material is not gonna come out. And then snip it off. If you're new to fly tying, one thing that's good to know, it's good to have 2 pairs of scissors, one for your thread and one for your materials. I only have 1 pair. So if I'm cutting thicker materials, I try to use the back. Okay. And then you're going to want to build up a little bit of a head with your thread. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Unless you're a perfectionist, then this could be tedious. Okay, so I'm just gonna build it up a little more. All right, so the next step is gonna be putting on the leg. And I like to wrap the head back just a little bit, probably about the size of the eye. I think it makes it a bit easier when you're putting these on and tying them down. So you're going to take your stranded rubber leg and you're going to fold it in half. A little closer. And then you're going to set it down. Again, doing a loose wrap, getting it in place. And then take a couple tight wraps to get it down. And then you're going to take your loop part, pull it backwards, and also tie that down. Okay, so here you're going to get a little bit of the leg material sticking up, and if you want to cover it, you can, but you don't have to. That's just kind of a personal preference. I think with this yellow color, it kind of looks like eyes in a way. It looks buggy. So I don't necessarily mind it showing. And then you're going to take your scissors and snip. I like to play with the lengths of these. Sometimes I'll leave them kind of long, sometimes I'll trim them pretty short. And then you trim. And then last but not least, whip finish. I like to go around 3 times twice. I believe I learned that from Ryan at Mad River Outfitters, or maybe it's 3 times. I can't remember. Alrighty, and then you'll just trim your thread off. And if you want, you can apply head cement underneath. It's not necessarily imperative to do so. Because if you lose this fly, it's pretty easy. Or if this fly starts to come apart, you can easily just whip up a couple more. And so with that, that is how you tie the Bully Bluegill spider.